Hi guys, welcome to the week that was. Today is actually Monday the 13th, and obviously we normally do these segments on a Sunday, but yesterday we actually got some really heartbreaking news, and we found it very hard to compose ourselves. It was actually heartbreaking, and we felt very sad, didn't we? And
Yeah.
Tani said, "Look, let's do Sunday sangers and let's push through it because we want the animals to. They look forward to the Sunday sangers, and we didn't want our sadness to reflect onto them. So, what actually transpired yesterday was we had found out that a rescue that we had released a number of animals, I think 14 in total, had actually parted ways with each other. And in the course of what's happened, the rescue called in an external shelter to assist with taking those animals on. And we found out that some of our beautiful animals were euthanized. Now, we don't know what the story is, but we just know that quite a few of them were put to sleep, and it has absolutely devastated us because when we actually release animals to other rescues, we do that on the hopes that they're going to get out of a cage, go into a foster home, and get the best chance of getting their do-overs. We never for 1 minute thought they were in harm's way of being euthanized. And unfortunately, we found out that that's exactly what happened. And we do know that some of them were they're all dear to our heart, but some of them we fought hard to keep them alive because 2 of those girls came in with parvo, and we rallied to get them the help they needed, and we were led to believe that one of them was euthanized because she was very protective of her sister. And we get bonded pairs, don't we, Tani?
Yeah.
And we talked about that today, didn't we, about, when they do come into the shelter, we do split them up for safety because we're not here at night, and we can't break up a fight if they happen to have a squabble or anything like that. But what we have learnt that if they don't cope away from each other, then we do actually put them back together, and we do monitor them for a couple of days, putting them back together. And there are some animals that just can't be away from each other, and you found that this weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, with 2 of the puppies, we tried separating them and they just kept screaming, trying to get back to each other.
Yeah. So, I think the hardest thing for us is that we weren't even given an opportunity to get those animals back. Now, we are actually, some of the animals that we just rehomed this week and got them out were animals that we had released to another rescue previously. And unfortunately, that person is going through a very hard time with a very, very sick family member. And I'm talking palliative type situation. And the first thing that we did, we said, "Do you need a helping hand?" We stepped straight back up for those animals, and they said, "Look, it's not necessary, but if you do want to help, that'd be great. That would ease some of the burden." And that's exactly what we did. We went and got a good chunk of them back. We're not there yet with all of them, but we've rallied some other rescues to help. And, we're here to step in. I think the saddest thing for us is that we weren't consulted, we weren't given an opportunity to help those animals, and now they're gone. And we are upset, we are heartbroken, we are angry, and we are very upset that they're gone. So that's what transpired yesterday, to the point that we all cried. We cried because it was so senseless. Even nobody reached out, not the rescue, not the partner that, that they're falling out, and not the other shelter. I mean, it's really frustrating that nobody reached out to us, because we would have done what we could to assist as well. Just because they're no longer here, it doesn't mean we don't care. So that's what happened yesterday.
And in fact, we weren't told from them either. It was only because Janien likes keeping an eye on things, and she did some investigation work and she found out.
Yeah. So any of the animals that leave here, Janien she follows the rescues on their page, so that when she finds out they're adopted, we really revel in that moment that, oh, that's great, they've rehomed such and such. And so, she likes to keep a bit of an eye on it, and she looked at their page, and some of those ones weren't on the page, and she thought, oh, they must have got adopted, I must have missed the adoption thing. And and so she made some inquiries, and found out that there'd been a split in the ranks, and unfortunately, so talking to them last night, it didn't go down the way they hoped, and it was just, they had no choice in the matter. It was, from my understanding, the choice was taken away from this person. So, I mean, to be fair, we've only heard one side of the story. We don't know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Not one person reached out to us to say, could you take one or two back? Could you help us? And just like we're doing right now, that's exactly what we done. We've pulled back, how many did I go and pick up? Was it 5?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 5. So, we took 5 back. It was 6, but 1 got adopted before coming back. And we're about to go back and grab some more, because we've already rehomed those ones. So, I think that's the frustrating thing for us, but it certainly broke our hearts, because, we absolutely love our animals and we want to see the best for them, and we thought we had done that. And so it just broke our hearts to know that they're no longer with us and they didn't get their do-overs, and that's a travesty. So it's no different to every other week. We've had a lot of dumpings, and so I have been in full investigation mode, and we've got a big, beautiful girl out there. Tani loves her buffy dogs, and she's right up there, isn't she, Tani? And that's Luna, and she's a neo-mastiff girl, and Tani thinks she's got a bit of boxer in her because of the snout. Now, I actually tracked down the breeder who gave me the name of the person they rehomed. That person then went on to give me some stories that he rehomed the dog to some guy that had committed suicide and, tried to set me off onto a false trail. I actually worked out that he was lying and was able to, with my investigations, prove that the dog was still with him. When it got down to the nitty-gritty and we confronted him, he said, yeah, look, the dog got out, and I thought, good riddance. And I thought, good riddance? You've had the dog since it was 8 weeks old. And she was born in August 23. And that's what you think, good riddance, And yet when I said to him that, I had to bring her in on a catch pole, she's very defensive, he went on to tell me how a good dog she was and they had no problems with her. But that was his words, good riddance, even though in the next breath she was a good dog. I just couldn't believe it. So that's case number 1. Case number 2 was a puppy taken to a vet clinic in Cessnock as a found. And, when you start looking at a puppy that hasn't been claimed, I then start to look deeper. Turned out that was the finder as well. Turned out that the older dog was attacking the puppy. something they didn't consider when they got a puppy was, is my old dog going to cope with a puppy chasing it and being annoying and everything like that? So, good reason for rehoming, just done it the wrong way. Instead of ringing us up and saying, look, I took on a puppy, my dog is attacking it, I think it's going to end up hurting the puppy. Could I surrender it? No, they took it to a vet and lied and said they found it. And actually, they lived in one suburb, but they said it was found in another. And that dog wasn't microchipped. So, the thing is, I do my due diligence, and if you think that I'm not going to find you, you're mistaken. Because nothing drives me more than the injustice of robbing an animal of its identity and what the reasons are. Because a lot of the times when people come to the pound and they're looking at an animal to potentially adopt, I think most times, 90% of the times, Tani, do they ask what reason the dog's in the pound?
Yeah.
Because they want to know. They want to know what's wrong with it. And half the time there's nothing wrong with it except an owner has no time, or it's things that could have been prevented but they chose not to. Now, same as like TD, their owner went on holidays, took it to the vet, and then went on holidays for 10 days. So by the time they came back to sort it out, it cost them a mozza, because until that animal was signed over, that person kept accruing a fee of $53 a day in impound fees. They put the animal into impound, you wear the fees. Now we had a dog called Luffy. He'd been seen at Maitland Park for 2 days. Prior to that, he'd been seen at the information centre. Now that's quite a fair bit of distance just between those two. I started tracking down. The phone numbers were disconnected. Everything just was out of date. So it took me a while to find them, and I did. And I ended up having to put some pressure on, because I could see they were reading my messages and they just were ignoring me. And I thought, okay, let's go. So anyway, by the time I got hold of the owner, she gave me a story that her ex had taken the dog. Okay, what's his details? I don't have them. Well, you must have had them to organise the animal to be picked up. Turned out to be another lie. It set me off on another path. The worst thing about it is these people have got an order between them. And of course, suddenly, we've drawn everybody into our investigations because somebody lied and then made me chase them, and then, it just got so messy. And it turned out in the end, the woman admitted she took the dog to the RSPCA animal shelter and tied it to a fence a week ago. Somehow the dog has gotten off the lead, and in that week he's made his way through Rutherford, Talara to Maitland, to 3 suburbs away, which is a good probably 15-minute drive, to be finally found limping. Heartbreaking. And then there's a cat called Mandu. The people, it had been living on a work site. They'd been feeding it. It had been named by them. They decided, look, we want this cat to be rehomed. We want it to have a family. So they brought it to the facility. The facility was closed. So they decided they'd leave the cat. Here's the corker. The cat wasn't in a box. It wasn't in a cage. They released it under my car and then drove away. And a member of the public happened to see it running around and called the facility. Anyway, we tracked them down. The cat has been surrendered properly, and it's cost them a mozza because the cat had been living with them for quite some time on the same premises. They've been feeding it, so they accepted ownership of that animal. But I think the thing that really killed me was, we're on a main road. That cat could have been killed. It could have gone into the bush, killed wildlife. It could have been attacked by a fox. We have foxes out the back. We have kangaroos. It could have been attacked.
And snakes. We've got heaps of snakes at the moment.
Correct. And even though she is an older kitten, she's about, we estimated to be about 10 months, Tani.
Yeah, 10 months to 12 months.
Tani picked up something with the cat, and I said, get it to a vet. It had almost like it had worms circling the nipples. They were raised, and it felt like something hard there. The nipples were quite warm. We thought, oh my gosh, has it had kittens and it's got mastitis? So we had to take it to the vet. No, it turned out the cat was 4 weeks pregnant. So, you know, and there we go. And that cat was just dumped in our car park and pushed and let go under my car. What if it had crawled into my wheel hub? I'm always in and out of my car doing investigations. I could have killed the cat. So, you know, it's really frustrating, but that is 5 in a week that I've caught. 5. That's not the 2 attempted dumpings we caught that never made it into the facility because we were switched on enough to realise that they were about to make a huge mistake, and we talked to them. And one of those people is actually going to try harder and has engaged a dog trainer now. You talked to her quite extensively too, didn't you, about some options, and you've done that with quite a few of these.
Yeah, we always, like, we've all gone through stuff with our own animals, so if it's going to help other people, we're always happy to have a chat to people about different options, things that they may not have
considered.
Yeah, even thought of. So
I've talked to them about my dogs and what I had to do, and then Tani sat there and talked to one lady about what she had to do with her dog. And, you know, it actually, I think it really did open her eyes up about trying harder, and because there was things that she never thought to try. So, you know, kudos to that lady. She'd done something bad, but we opened her eyes about something else, you know. And we've also given her the option of our assisted rehoming if she can't make it work. So we don't turn our backs on these people either. So Luna I took as a surrender. TD is a surrender. I took the cat, Mandu, as a surrender. Anna is a surrender. And another one of those dogs, Luffy, the owner, is going to actually try some training and stuff like that. So, you know, kudos to her too, that she's actually exploring other avenues. And you know what, the one thing she did say is that she regretted her decision immediately, which is great. We do want that, you know. It's nice to see somebody actually regret a decision instead of more or less saying good riddance, you know what I mean? Because when they cry, when they sit there and burst out in tears, and we had that, didn't we? You had that with a gentleman, and he sat there and burst out crying. We know there's love there, and sometimes they just need guidance and a helping hand, and that's what we are here to do, is help them. So that's our dumpings for the week. Sunday Singers, we did that yesterday, but yeah, please give us some suggestions. So we did a repeat of the sausage sandwiches, but we're definitely open for some suggestions, guys. And quite often people say to us, you know, what can we give choose something for Sunday Singers for us and say, there's your next Sunday Singers, Dee, and we'll do it. So this week we had NBN News come over to the facility, and they wanted to talk about Parvo, because obviously on Christmas Eve we lost a dog to Parvo that was surrendered. and came in as a stray, as a stray, and then got surrendered, and turned out it was parvo. And so we obviously, when we see the parvo things, we want to warn the community. We want people to be vigilant. We want people to know that, hey, if you do pick up a stray, please consider that your car needs to be decontaminated. In that particular instance, I contacted the finder and explained to her that the stray that she found had tested positive for parvo, because I wanted to know if she had dogs. Were they up to date with their vaccination? Does she cart her dogs in her car? And so, we want to do right by everybody and do our due diligence and let people know of the situation. One of the things that one person commented and said, I'll stop with the parvo scaremongering. We want people to be scared. We see what this disease does to people. We see the lives that it takes. We see the costs that it takes to save these animals. And in that article, and I will put the link to it, I think you might be able to put the link in it for me if I share that with you, Tani, is that you hear the RSPCA vet saying the cost of a vaccine to the cost of a treatment. Hundreds and something to thousands. And that's if they survive.
Yeah, you can spend $10,000 on a dog that doesn't survive.
Correct. We've nearly had that. I think Jerry cost us $9,000. We went through 2 lots of blood transfusion and plasma to save her life. And, there could have been a point where we said we're going to have to call it and still lose her. But thankfully, that second treatment pushed her over the line. But it was very close that she nearly didn't make it. And you could put thousands of dollars and they still die on you. So, it's okay to think that we're scaremongering, but we're doing it for a reason. We're trying to save lives. We're trying to have people think, when's Fred's vaccination? I want them to go to their file and I want them to call their vet and say, Fred's overdue. Can I get Fred in? If it saves Fred's life. I'm not going to sit here and be shamed and be accused of scaremongering because I want to do it out of enjoyment. I'm trying to save lives. So, boo-hoo to you if you don't like it, but I'm not going to stop. I just want to say a big thank you to Woolies. Woolies at Green Hills have actually...
sorry, before you keep going, Woolies is Woolworths.
Sorry. Woolies is Woolworths at Green Hills, and they approached us and said we'd love for you guys to bring a food bin in so that we can hopefully get some donations for you. And so Don got to work and built a beautiful donation bin. I've got a photo of it. It's just so handy. And we took it over there, and one of the girls from Woolworths actually put up a post on social media to say, we've got a donation bin. These guys are 100% no-kill. Straight off, a person jumps on and says, oh, they're not no-kill. They threatened to kill my dog. What the woman didn't actually say is, first off, we're a rescue group who runs a pound. We're totally separate. What happens with council is one matter. What happens with us is another. Our rescue is 100% no-kill. Okay? The pound is the pound. And we try to run it as a no-kill. But there are always going to be animals that have killed a person, attacked a person, killed an animal, or attacked another animal. They can't be rehomed. And a lot of the times it's the owners that make the decision to surrender the animal for euthanasia because they can't comply with the orders that gets put on them by council. It's not even council making that decision. The owners always have a choice. You need to put control measures in. Now, if those people choose not to do that, then we can't rehome them. That's it. And they know that. And they make the decision to sign those euthanasias. So if in that regards we're not no kill, yep, you're probably right. But it's not, we don't kill for space. We don't kill because it doesn't like another dog. Things that are put to sleep are because something has happened and something serious has happened. Now in this particular instance with the young lady, what she failed to mention was her dog was in the pound. I had to go to her house because she wouldn't return my calls. I then offered her a freedom buster. My rescue actually fundraised to get her dog out of the pound into her home again. She failed to mention that. The next person jumped on and said, "Oh, my friend's dog was there and they were so rude." What they people forget to mention is they come to that window yelling and screaming at us because we're charging a fee that the council have told us we must charge them for the dog being here for half an hour. And they yell and swear at us. Do we sit there and take it? No, we tell them, if you're going to keep speaking to us, you'll be made to leave. If you keep carrying on or you threaten us, we're going to call the police. But we're rude. So there's a lot of things that people will jump on and tell half side of the story. So Janien did a blog on Friday and she put up the next video of Loki and Barney's progress with us. And whoa, I read Janine's blog and thought, whoa, I read it to you too today, didn't I, Tani?
Yep, I was
and
quite
we
impressed.
Were like, damn.
You get 'em, Janine.
You go, girl. I didn't even have to defend myself. Janine did it all. And I think it's because of the hurt that we experience. We put that donation bin, yes, to help these animals. But what people don't actually understand is we get a lot of animals that come in through impound and they're very skinny. And we know sometimes the people are struggling. What we do, we walk over to our shed, we get them a 20-kilo bag of food and say, please take that home. So anything that goes in that donation bin doesn't necessarily mean it stays with us. We will help people. We might even help that person that was rude to us.
Which we have done several times.
Which we have done several times. Because it's not about that person at the window. It's about that four-legged animal standing beside them. So, it was pretty disappointing. And one person criticised me about that I was doing more harm than good in regards to making Barney and Loki walk with a slip and everything like that. They're not on the ground here. They don't see how many hours we work behind the scene. People form an opinion for what they see or read. They don't actually stop to take in the whole situation. And, and that's really sad. So that's the situation that happened this week. They don't see what we do behind the scenes. Those rude people are often walking away with a collar and lead because they haven't got anything for their dog. They're often walking away with a bag of food and treats and recommendations of dog trainers. And, how many times have I offered them material here to fix their fences that we have here. We have stuff behind our shipping container that gets donated. And people say, look, I'm pulling a fence down, do you want it? I will always say yes, and I will store it. And I have had many people come and pick up material to fix their fence if it helps save their dog from being surrendered or being killed by a car. People don't see the bigger picture here. And that's a shame. You often say, don't believe everything you read or don't believe everything you hear. That's very true. Sometimes you're only hearing one side of the story. And it was really sad that we got attacked on a post that Woolworths were trying to say, hey, we've got a donation bin here if you guys can help these guys. They do wonderful work. But there were some people that jumped on from the Central Coast, and they said, we miss her down here for the things that she used to do for our community. You know, just sad. Anyway, so that was that. So my favourite part of the day, and I'm going to go really quickly because I've got to go and do an investigation, is rescue releases. So Don and I did a trip up the coast. We met several rescues. Happy to say that Lolly, God, I wrote Lily. I'm on a diet, so maybe I thought don't write Lolly because you'll want one. Maybe that's it. So Lolly, Bloom, Sweetie, TD, Anna, and Mandy, which was Mandu, have all gone to rescues this week. And our adoptions have been Rose, our little kitten, and Jay, who is now known by Jake, has been adopted. So tremendous week, which we're very happy about. So unfortunately, with some sad news, we had Rubble surrendered back to us, but Pete has come back from his holiday and Rubble has gone back into foster care with Pete. So we are on another lookout for a new home for Rubble, and it was no fault of the people that adopted him. They've got a little boy with special needs, and he was a little bit scared of Rubble, and that family have to do right by their family first. So they gave it a red hot crack, and he was perfect. And in a way, they didn't even want to surrender him back, did they?
No, they wanted to keep trying. So
and it was actually Tani said, look, you know, think of your family first. You've got a little boy there that is quite scared, and you don't want your son to be scared in his own home. So we are helping them find another dog that is going to be more suitable for the little boy as well. So yeah, so anyway, that is the week that was. This is normally where Tani will say our happy, sad and frustrating moment. Last week was very emotional, and you know what, there is nothing really too much more I can say. I've mentioned our happy and sad and frustrating in that week that was. So I think we might just leave it there as the week that was. So thank you so much, guys. Sorry we didn't get to it yesterday, but you know, it is a new week and we've got to keep going at this. So I'm about to go off and do an investigation, and Tani's probably got an hour or so of, or a bit more of
I've got more work to do at home.
So see ya. Bye.